No, I'm just it's a little awesome and weird that this conversation even gets to happen in my life because I mean we're here to talk about Echoes of Fear, which is what we're gonna do, but like I forever ago, it must have been right after it actually came out somehow on DVD. I actually saw Ghost in the Needle, and I really liked it. And I've told a couple people about it, and they're always like, "What is this movie?" I'm like, everybody says it. Just go find it. And like, I really dug it, and like, I think about it periodically, just randomly in life. And I almost bought it off used DVD on Amazon for the longest time. And then here's this movie at Shriekfest, and I'm like, wait, are you that guy, and I'm here, that guy? Okay, we're talking.
You're one of the many few in the United States seen that movie. Overseas, it got a little bit.
Actually, what's interesting is recently, the father in Ghost of the Needle contacting us. He's the actor. We hadn't heard from him in a long time, right? Since we made the movie, and he's like, "Do you still have that photograph with the tunnel? And then there's the dead girl in the back. I really want to buy this. I've been wanting to buy it for so long." And it was kind of this weird thing, like, "Oh, yeah, you remember this? the photograph? I mean, we still have it on our wall, but..."
That's right.
Oh, my God.
So the photograph.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, my God, yes. That is so nuts.
Because with the killer, that's what he did. He took pictures of his victims, and he would make like a photograph of it, and then you wouldn't know it would be in the back of where he killed them.
I forgot that. Yeah, I knew that, but that's creepy because I've seen that.
Wow, all right. Yeah, I mean, like, we'll totally get together and again at some point and talk about that. I'd love to, and like your whole career and stuff. Like, I'd be way down for that. And then also just completely randomly, I know Trista says that she told you, but like I randomly got to, like, the first movie I ever worked on was a random encounter while I was in Hollywood, and is Breath of Hate, which she was in. So it was just.
So we're all soulmates.
Like I just couldn't. I was just like, how is all of this happening in my life right now?
We're blowing your mind.
Well, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for doing it. All right. I always forget to do intros and wind up doing them at the end, so I guess We'll do them now. I am Michael Donahue, and joining me today is.
I am Trista Robinson.
I'm Avenet-Bradley.
And I'm Laurence Avenet-Bradley.
But everyone calls her Lo.
Right, and you guys had your world premiere of Echoes of Fear at Shriekfest this year, and that's what we're here to discuss.
Yay!
Okay.
She was overseas shooting. So
I have seen the movie.
missed it.
I think I told you when we were at Shriekfest, but like it disarmed me how much the movie actually worked on me, because it's a kind of movie that usually doesn't affect me at all. Like, I love horror to death, but it usually doesn't get me. It's something I find interesting. It's something that I'm very into the art of, but I'm not like, it just doesn't do that most of the time. And supernatural stuff, like, I guess because I'm open to the supernatural as an actual thing. So most supernatural film, I'm like, I'm seeing straight through your bullshit. And jump scares are one of the things that, like, I'm like, oh, okay. I think there were 2 jump scares that got me. It's a house picture and it's supernatural. And I just, what was it, I got through it. Hold on.
Maybe the stairs.
The stairs.
Yeah, no, okay, so the stairs one definitely got me. And then I think there was the one in the hotel, motel? Yeah. But and I was like, how dare you once, but twice? So,
no, it's cool. That's like been our biggest feedback we've gotten from the 3 screenings we've done with the horror audience at 3 horror festivals, is that a lot of hardcore horror people come up and say, "Oh my God, you got me," and they never, because they never get got, because they've seen all these horror movies. But Lo, one of the things that Lo, I think, really works hard on with her cinematography, and what I try to work hard on as we co-direct and figure out how we're setting up the scare, is that we try to set up the scare based on something that happened or a real experience at a location. We try not to follow the cliche tropes, like by copying another movie, because people are so familiar with other movies. It's like you don't really want to copy what they've done, because if you do, everyone knows it's coming anyway.
Right.
So we try to kind of
it's kind of like Brian's pet peeve is he doesn't want to do something that's a scare that's been done. It's like he wants to surprise people. And you really work hard on that. You've always been like that, and it's kind of like your goal is how can you trick people.
And create an atmosphere with your cinematography to create kind of an atmosphere and a mood where you're never quite sure when it's going to happen. So even when there isn't a scare, you're always kind of a little tense because you don't know. You don't know when it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Well, it also works because of the build-up too. Like it's slowly building, and then there's like tension, and you're kind of like at first you're not sure, then you're like, well, maybe something's there, and maybe not, and that's kind of like plays on that too, right?
And Trista just does an amazing job because the audience kind of goes through the movie through her eyes. And I think the way her expression is and what she does with her performance, she draws the audience into her, which I think is the key to the movie working.
100%. Like a buddy of mine who got to come to Shriekfest with me, when I told him I was going to have this conversation, and I told him it was the three of you, he was like, and the cinematographer. Oh my God. Because he was really into the cinematography, as was I. Like I said, like the art of film is something that I love conversation and being able to have conversation, especially with the people that produce the art. The look of the film, like there were a lot of scenes where like I shouldn't be tense, like I wouldn't normally be tense, but so it's really cool to hear that, like, wow, that was very, very purposeful.
Well, in terms of the lighting, what was purposeful is we tried, at least I tried to change environment within the same environment, but change the feel scene per scene, even if we had been there before. So we actually sometimes even change in the script where it would be, oh no, at this point we're during the day, but at that point it'd be better if we're in the evening. So we could work that lighting. So we actually had to make a few adjustments with that. Also, we wanted some scares to be during the day, or like we wanted it to be not always every time it's at night there's something, or every time during the day there's something. So we actually I looked at the script and broke it down to feel like we broke down the character, how the character felt along the way, and then how we can approach it with the lighting and change it, make changes both in the lighting and in the movement. So sometimes there wasn't too much movement, but sometimes it was. And that was planned before we shot the movie. I pretty much broke down the entire script into feels, character feel, and then mood.
And as you can tell from that answer, she's like more than a cinematographer, because some people don't pick up on this, but she's also the co-director.
Oh, yeah.
So what she did just is way beyond the normal cinematography role, and also what she did in terms of like the script and the story is like way beyond what a cinematographer would do. So she definitely like entered in the realm of co-directing. So.
For example, when Brenda and her boyfriend gets...
Big spoiler alert, too late on that.
I wanted it to be like, oh, it's bright daylight, so that, like people, when he comes in, nobody will... Yeah, you know what's going to happen, but you're not really sure. Because it's like, it's so bright everywhere. Right. Like he just arrived, the light's on, everywhere there's light, and then he turns, and that's when it comes. And I fought really hard for this back shot.
Yeah, you did.
Yes. It's little, we're like, we really work on, like, Brian and I work really hard on, like, little shots that they're very short, but they're actually effective, we think. At least we try.
It was a big education for me as well, because I guess I was a little ignorant because I come from an acting perspective, and I'd never really seen someone tell a story with lighting, and it was really beautiful, actually. I felt like she established sort of a dark gothic fairy tale quality, and I was really stunned by it. And in fact, it wasn't an easy shoot. You've seen the film. It was really a bit grueling for me, and
to say the least. And that house is crazy.
However, when I started watching playback, I started realizing what she was doing, and I was really blown away by it, and it was really humbling, and then I was just grateful to be a part of it.
And that's something that Lo did as part of her role as co-director and cinematographer is, a lot of the movie is Trista by herself or with one other person, and Lo would always try to play back so Trista would understand what we're going for. why it's taking so many takes, because we're trying to get a very particular thing, and I think that really was helpful.
Yeah, what a special opportunity as an actor, because a lot of times you just show up, you hit your line or hit your mark and you say your line, and there's not a lot of time accommodated for that. But we really made decisions on committee, which is very generous of them to do. And as a result, I learned how to make a movie, which will hopefully serve me in the long run. I already feel like it served me.
It's like it could only help you as an actor to know more about the entire process, I would think.
I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, but we really showed what we were trying to do. We would do a lot of playback and show them, so they're like, well, that's, and then we wanted to make sure that Trista was happy and the other people too. They were happy with the performance, and if they felt they were not happy at all, then we'll be like, okay, all right, we'll do another take.
Well, that's the key. Is like you want to be able to have the take where everything's perfect technically with the lighting and the camera movement and all that, but you also want the take where the performance is great too. You don't want to be going, oh, I want this take because there's this lighting and the camera moves perfect and the focus is great, but you also want that to be the take that's great for Trista as well. So that was like really important.
So sometimes it took a long time because we're all perfectionists and we all like to say like, oh no, I can do better, or sort of get inspired and want to try something else, or call bullshit on ourselves. And then we're working with an animal, right? So,
oh yeah, the animal.
So it was a bit painstaking, but we're very proud of it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of the polar opposite of where we started, like back in Freezer and Ghost of the Needle, where we were shooting 16 millimeter. Like Vietnam War CP16 camera, and basically because we're paying for this film stock and the processing and the transfer, all the actors got like one take.
Yeah, that's all.
That's really all we got. And we didn't really have any coverage either. It's like if the scene was storyboarded out, and that's the line you said in close-up in the storyboard, that's the only line you got to say in close-up. Because we didn't have enough film stock to do that and run the whole scene in a close-up. Could run that one line.
It's hard because we would always be disappointed. The actor could be disappointed. Right. We were disappointed because it was like, I guess that's fake, is that shot. And that's all it is.
So that's a really great thing about her experience knowing how to shoot film and light for film, having digital cameras reach a point where they can actually, in the hands of a good cinematographer, create an image which is very filmic, so you can be able to do those extra takes without watching like the meter of the money clock just kind of going off the chart.
As you guys were talking about with playback and stuff, like it reminds me of like one of the things that made me fall in love with like behind the scenes stuff was Kevin Smith commentaries, because he would always go into all this kind of stuff, and how like very similar to what you were just saying, like with Clerks, it was like you get to do it one time. And then with Clerks 2, he said like he was cutting it as they were shooting. So he said everybody stepped up their game because they were seeing the results immediately. I can only imagine that like the entirety of the crew and everyone involved would be more energized knowing that there's a real result. Sort of like the opposite of there were people talking like they didn't know what they were filming when they were making Mad Max Fury Road. Multiple people have said while we were filming it, we were convinced it was garbage. But then when we saw it, we all went, oh.
Yeah, that's a fine line. You have to trust the filmmakers, but you want to bring people along in that journey so they feel like they're being taken care of.
Yeah, but I feel it is a team process. It's like you can't make the movie without, everybody has to contribute, everyone. I felt like it's the least we could do. And, whether, like the actors, whether we pick that the shot they liked is something different, but at least we had that option of that everybody felt they were contributing and trying to make the best of the story.
Well, yeah, when everyone feels like they're a part of it, I feel like everyone brings their A game, like you were saying.
And we were all excited when we were all happy about our shot.
Yeah.
And it's really, for me, I think I may have mentioned this, but just so educational. For instance, if sometimes really simple-looking shots are very complicated. Yes. So Lo would have me do very uncomfortable physical things, and when she shows it to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I see. That's amazing. Not just like, Lo hates me.
Well, that's also the genius of Lo's lighting as a cinematographer. cinematographer, she believes in very like high contrast, in quote, naturalistic lighting. But to create that high contrast lighting and make it feel real takes an incredible amount of lighting to create a look of someone just lighting something with a lantern or a flashlight or an iPhone. Actually takes a lot of work to make it just seem natural. And, you know, the great thing is she does such a great job that when you watch the movie, you're not thinking of that. Which you shouldn't, because you should just be sucked into the story in the moment and feel and not be thinking about it. But it's very important for us, especially doing horror movies as our fifth one, is like it's really important for us that if someone turns on a flashlight or uses a lantern in the movie, it's obvious from the lighting they need to do that. Nothing drives me more crazy than someone walking into a room, turning a flashlight on. Why are you turning it on? I can see everything without the. What are you doing?
There was also the challenge, like you're talking about the lantern is like, you know, lantern at a different color temperature. So then we had to reorganize how we're going to shoot this when this particular section is a whole different color temperature. So then we'll all switch. I mean, people don't really realize this, but it is a big deal.
And they should.
It is a big deal when we're actually shooting. One is organizing, making sure everything's going to work at that color temperature. You know, it's not just putting a light at a different color. It's a lot of other elements, because maybe there's a window. We have so many windows in that house. It's very difficult.
And mirrors.
Other mirrors. Anyway, we thought it'd be simple. It's very hard. It was very difficult.
To make it seem natural. You did a great job.
Well, thanks.
Really
you know, like, and color is important in general, but like it's something that I'm always very affected by. I know it's a little ironic given how we all kind of like met, but I am red colorblind. Right. Like back in college when I was taking a lighting class. I was like, I love this. I love playing with color, and then it started to become more and more of an impediment. And so like with color timing and stuff, like I like when I'm trying to like mess around with footage, I'm like I can't do this at all. But I always appreciate when it is done very well, and like the look of the movie was something I was very taken with. And so to know that this much work actually went into it, like, I don't know, like it makes me appreciate it all the more. Okay, let me actually go through a couple of notes here. The gross ass black water is very unsettling from like very early on in the film.
Yeah.
And I'm great with faces, and I'm awful with names. So like I just give people nicknames. So like at one point I was like, Smokey McAirtank is cool. His energy is infectious.
David, yes, David.
Actually, you guys were talking about the animal earlier. Like at one point, when the ball was just doing its own thing, for some reason into my head popped his thought, which was yo, who's in my ball? And
that's probably what Tweak is saying when she's climbing up the cave. Like he's like, yo, who's going on my ball? That's exactly. We should subtitle that.
Well, actually, one of the things I was really curious about was how did you keep the ball spinning so long?
Well, I gotta say, our first AC, Tyler, actually was in charge of the ball, and I told him, it's like, look, I need this ball to spin as long as possible so she can come down the steps and grab it. He's like, just try to make it stay in this area for the camera, spin it, try to spin it, and then so we did it. Okay, let's just try and take. Let's see what happens. I know we're gonna do like a million takes here. Let's get this right. Let's try and take. Spot it. Camera roll. Trista starts at the top of the steps, comes all the way down the steps. The thing keeps spinning, and I'm like looking at it, going, how? And then it starts getting faster, and I'm like, what is happening? And then I was like, please, Trista, please nail this take because this is amazing. And then she just the way she grabbed it. Because, I mean, in no way was there any prep for that because we never thought in a million years by the time she reached the ball.
Was it spinning like this?
See, somebody even at the screening thought, or was convinced it was a CGI ball. Until she grabbed it. And they were like, whoa. Because they knew it wasn't CG, but basically he did it the first take. And of course, you always want to do a safety. So we're like, okay, well, let's try it. But of course, it was impossible. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's what happens in that house. I don't know. But it was really weird. Because even when I recorded the audio for that scene, I wanted to get the good audio mic right up to it to get that audio that's spinning. I could never do it. I had to like blend like 3 different takes together in the audio just for that one take. I still to this day don't know what happened.
He
but
was
it's
so
awesome.
excited.
Oh, I was so excited. Yes! It's like it's a natural special effect. It's so awesome. It's
Plus,
real.
it was nice. I mean, the light was
Oh, it's
on
beautiful.
it, like you could see it well.
It made him so
It
happy.
made me really happy. You just like, you plan everything out and you storyboard everything out, and like Lo says, you go through the script and you make all your notes, but when you actually have a magic happy accident happen like that, it just makes me so happy. It's something that wasn't planned. It's something that just wonderfully happened, and I don't know. It's a pretty special moment.
My reaction was genuine.
Yeah.
Because I was very perplexed.
But
Right.
you went with it. That's what's great. You didn't go like, oh, I don't know what to do. I mean, the way you cracked it was just so perfect.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have mentioned the house a couple times, and like that thing, it was a character in its own right.
It
And
was the inspiration for the script. So it was a character from the very beginning when we were doing the story notes. I mean, we're in it right now. This is it.
oh, really?
This is the house that we bought, I guess, like 10 years ago. And almost everything in the first act all happened in the first year of owning this house.
Okay.
And stuff still happens here. And I just took down notes and wrote this all down. And I was like, this is an amazing, events happening in this house. And I took the notes, but we did a whole film in between because I knew this was an amazing first act, but I didn't know where the story went. Because I still don't have the answer in terms of what caused that stuff to happen. I still don't know why it still happens. So I had to kind of like make up an explanation because I don't know the real explanation. So that took a while to come up with like, well, what is the rest of the story?
Well, plus what's interesting, we still have some crawl spaces we haven't even shot in. At least there's one.
Yeah.
But there's just all these different crawl spaces.
It's a weird,
it's a very
weird
strange,
house.
like, built house. And
Yeah.
every time there's a level, there's a crawl space. And they don't connect.
It's
So
very strange.
you have all these different environments, and we thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of play with that because it's different.
Yeah, it would be like a massive spoiler, but I could give you like a laundry list of like all those things in that first act and what the real thing that happened. And I told someone once like
Well,
if
why not?
wait on, don't you dare, you can't, you're gonna ruin the movie. And I told someone once that like the stuff you probably think we exaggerated and there's no way it could happen actually really happened. That they would never figure out like it's the more subtle stuff that we kind of like took more artistic license with, but the bigger stuff. I mean, there's stuff like even bigger than in
Well,
the
no,
script.
like the funny thing with, like, for example, the speaker.
Yeah.
Well, the speaker, it came with this, it looks like from the 70s. It's like this weird
It's
speaker.
weird.
And the speaker is all over the house. And then at first,
On each level.
when we first got the place, we'd be like playing on each other and be like clicking from a different room, saying, what? But then it turns out that outside you could hear too, but we didn't know till later, and it was like freaky because then you didn't know if someone could hear you outside. We didn't play that in the movie, but it's kind of like an inspiration. Speaker crazy. It's like, who would have speakers in their house?
But the really freaky part was the speakers would sometimes just trigger on their own.
Yes.
And make that weird sound, which would run for like 25, 30 seconds. And then you're like, we would think, oh, well, you did that. Or I did that in a different room. We're like, no, I never touched
And it's
it.
in our
No, I wasn't
bedroom
there.
too. So it's like, it's very like weird. It's very weird.
But anyway, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Lots of things like that. And well, I don't want to get to it.
Yeah.
Big
Well,
spoiler.
okay,
But,
hold on.
but yeah,
Seriously,
definitely there's-
I will cut anything you want me to cut. Tell me.
Okay, well maybe it's not too big of a spoiler because I guess we get a taste of it in the first 6 minutes of the movie because it moves pretty quick. But the dark shadow shapes I've seen, and I also know that the shadow shape is female. I don't know why that is because it really is just a shadow shape.
Well,
But-
the thing is, we also have a friend, and once she came, and she told us, she says, oh, there's a shape here. And I'm like, what? This is, what are you talking about? She says, yeah, they're turning their back. And I'm like, what? They're in a corner, and they're turning their back. And I'm like, you can't tell me anything
I
about
totally
this.
forgot about that.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know about about this?
I don't.
Yeah, I can't deal with this. Like, I don't want to know.
But I've seen it. I've seen the shape on multiple occasions. And every now and then it'll do something that'll make me scream, and then
I can't see
and
that.
then Lo will wake up mad at me that I woke her up screaming. But it is. But somehow I've made my peace. And it's weird because you're like in a horror movie, you would be like, why are you in the house, right? But somehow when you're going through it, maybe you have to be interested in that kind of stuff. Maybe that's the secret. But
I got you.
after a while, you're like, it's kind of fascinating in a way. And then it did settle down a lot. I mean, now it's like, it'll be like 4 months between encounters. So now I'm like, for a while there, it was a little much. I just teach myself.
Well, no, it's like I said, like I'm open to the supernatural and stuff like that. And like my girlfriend has always said, like every time she moves into a place, she's like, all right, if you're gonna appear, that's totally cool. Just don't do it behind me. It needs to happen in front of me. If you sneak up behind me, there will be problems.
I don't think they can promise that.
Oh, so the next note after the ball spinning thing, like I said, I give people nicknames. So the boyfriend's name for me, I was like, hey, checkered duffel bag. Why are you so douchey?
That's a great note.
Yeah, that's good.
I appreciate that.
That's brand. Checkered duffel bag is brand.
Okay. Right on. Okay, the sound design was incredible. I loved the sound space. As planned out as everything else was, it had to be planned out. How did you guys mix it? Like, what is your ideal setup for hearing your movie?
Well, it was like a really budgetary wise, hearing the movie ideal setup wasn't great to the very end. But the recording of the sounds, we don't really use a sound library because I feel like everyone uses those same kind of sounds and you get used to hearing them. Especially because we were in this house environment and visually the house is a character. We actually tried to record all the real sounds here, from the floors to the doors to the speakers to the cat. So we were actually in the mouse.
The mouse. It's the real mouse sound.
So we actually just worked really hard to gather and record all those sounds. And then I layer them in like 100 tracks, which gets ridiculous. Layer them all in, and I have a sound design friend, Mark Lee Fletcher, who helps me a lot with like adding the right kind of reverb and the right kind of EQ and that kind of stuff. And finally, when all that was done and I mixed it the best I could, the equipment I had, then I went into a professional mixing house. Well, it's Frank.
It's Frank's place.
Yeah, Frank. I can't remember his
I don't
name.
know.
Frank.
I don't know.
But anyway, I can't remember his company's name. I just remember Frank. But basically, we went in there and listened to everything I'd done, and we did refinements. So that he has a professional setup. So he has the full like listening to it in a theater environment, huge speakers all around you, playing at that deafening theater level, which is very hard to listen to, but that's the way they play in theater. The mix was refined in about 5 days.
Yeah,
my rough mix was refined and tweaked and all that.
We made changes after that first.
Oh, it still kept changing and tweaking. Yeah. But that got it to the basic right way. I got used to understanding how it really sounded, and then later on, because I'm a perfectionist, I started doing additional tweaks, but it was okay because I kind of knew what it sounded like now, so I knew how to do those tweaks.
What I'd like to point out is what's cool about his friend Marky Fletcher, is Brian would say, well, I need the sound to kind of like to change into something, and he would actually create a program from scratch.
Yeah.
And he would say, okay, press this button, and I will change it to this, and press that button. And he created all sorts of programs that Brian would actually
take real sounds.
He would take the sound and put it through his program that he created. It's just codes. It doesn't exist.
That's intense. That's
hardcore
intense.
I gave him a special card for that at the end of the movie because I said, it's like, this is really special what you've done because he created like these original programs for both the ghost sounds and also the pipe sounds, because pipe is a big motif in the movie, the pipe sounds on the walls and stuff. And he actually created the program so we could record the actual sounds, but then you can really go in there and change the processing of them and make them sound like completely different things. So it was like really fun. And I think that has a lot of your reaction to the sound design is coming from stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's also the same guy who he worked on Ghost. I mean, he's worked on all.
Yeah, he actually did the score.
He worked on all of movies.
So Ghost of the Needle.
That's awesome.
Score and sound design in that movie as well. So we've been working with Mark for a long time.
Yeah.
Since our first one.
Cool.
Well, you've been working with him since
I was a kid.
Yeah, since elementary school. No.
We did little movies in high school together too.
Cool.
Yeah, goes way back.
You know, if he writes something like that, I can only imagine it'll help you down the road. You know, you could use the same program doing more stuff. That's wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's always participating in that. And then, music-wise, this time we went back to the composer we used for the more traditional music, even though it gets kind of sound designy as well. One that we did after Ghost of the Needle, Darker Veins, and Benedict Breiter was the composer on that, and he graciously came back with us in this film.
Yeah.
And he really worked hard on the score.
Yeah. And it's interesting with the music is because originally we had a different feel to the music that we wanted. And then he actually started composing to that feel we were looking for. And then we're like, oh, I don't think that's how the movie needs to go. So we ended up redoing. I mean, he basically rescored. It's like, oh, we need to change it's not happy, it's more somber now. And
yeah, it's like that.
Because at the beginning of the movie, we wanted to start like, hey, these girls, they're happy, blah, blah. And then it just didn't work. We wanted right away to be like, something might be not right, or maybe, so he did an amazing job.
Right, because the audience is kind of, because of what happens in the first scene, which I won't give away, but because of what the audience sees in the first scene, the audience is kind of one step ahead of her character for a little bit. In the first act, the audience kind of knows a little bit more than she does. So we kind of went with the music fitting in more with what the audience knew. So even though her character didn't quite know the dire situation in the house, the audience knows a little bit. So we kind of took the music more in that direction, which enabled us to get even darker and darker as she starts to realize. So we had to change the music a lot to basically fit with her change as her character changes. And as you know, the story kind of does a little pivot in the second act, and the music also organically changes with that pivot, because the music in the beginning of the movie wouldn't work after that pivot happens. So the music kind of has to change with the film. And when you watch it, you don't even think about it, as you shouldn't, because it just all seems to fit the picture. But I remember Benedict was a little worried, like, oh my God, they're going to think you have a different composer for the back half of the movie because it changes so much. But I told him, it's fine because it fits the movie. The movie changes.
Yeah.
So it's like organic.
So how dark can it go?
Yes, how far can it go?
He says, I don't know if I can put the last part of the movie in a soundtrack because I don't think people can listen to that.
Wow.
Because it's so disturbing and I'm like, no, but it fits the movie. I think it's amazing what you created, but...
Which is great. That's why he's a really great composer working with Mark in his sound design. Some composers can get kind of precious, like, oh, it's my beautiful music and beautiful melody that I want to sound great on a separate CD. But really, it's just one part of the sound component in a movie that goes along with the sound design. So they have to work together, They shouldn't, it shouldn't necessarily be something that just makes a great music CD afterwards to play, because it has to be married with what's happening in the movie.
Yeah, if the score isn't the score to the film, why do it, right? Yeah.
That's the gift of a really great film composer, I think, is the ability to make their music work with the movie as opposed to, oh, I want to do my own great music and slap it on film, which some composers, I think, are a little guilty of.
It happens.
They know it.
You can see why this is so educational to me as an actor. I get to learn about all of the components of filmmaking. It's invaluable, really.
Oh, most definitely. Also, your performance, it carries the film. Without you, I don't think I would have cared. I mean...
Thanks.
So,
Trista, you should talk about it, but, you worked so hard on, developing your art, because we had to shoot out of order.
Yeah.
But you should talk about that, because you worked so hard on, figuring out, the arc of your character. So when we shot out of order, you could,
Thanks. The arc is always the most important thing for me when I tackle a project. So, and this character has such an arc. I'm being so careful about spoilers, but so we worked.
So I want to say so many things, but I'm also I don't want to. Anyway.
So yeah, Alyssa has such an arc that we had to instill some real strong character features in her from the beginning to make sure that the arc was believable. So she's a very strong woman, and we just worked really hard to make sure that the arc made sense.
Right. She's very fearless. It was important that we could understand in the beginning that even though the movie's a supernatural horror movie, the main character isn't someone who's scared of that. The main character is someone who doesn't really believe in that world. So it's not like the same way you and I, because you said you believe in the supernatural too, the same way you and I walking into a creepy house would feel versus her character, because to her it's not a creepy house, it's just a house that for some reason the lights won't come on, but it's just a house. And it was really important with her character that you were with her in the beginning and knew that kind of stuff wasn't going to freak her out. Even though for you and I, it probably was.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
And you in real life.
Yeah.
I also liked in her character is she had that weakness where she was getting influenced by her boyfriend, and she manages, and I like that as her character, right, where she's managing to slowly, be like strong and be like, I need to do what I gotta do.
And that was important for me as, my co-directing and the writing of it is, it's very true, I think, for all of us, not just women, but you can be a strong person and still have these little glitches where people can overly influence you and kind of like, it's almost like gaslight. Even though you're strong in other ways, like all of us, I think, have this little, a lot of us at least, have this little thing where the right person in our lives can say things that basically make us doubt ourselves and question ourselves. And I think, and to me, that was important that you could still be a strong person, but still be susceptible to that with the important people in your life if they did it to you.
By the way, in real life, Lo is the fearless one.
She's fearless.
She's really tough.
She's always doing things. We're like, no, Lo.
Yeah. What were you gonna say before?
Trying to dance around with spoilers, but I at least gotta tell you guys. So the arc of the character going from like strong but meek to just full on strong. You're like, I gotta get out of here, and then the thing happens where you can make the choice to not go back or go back, and you do go back. Where in another situation or another performance, I might have been like, well, now you get everything that's coming to you. It was like, no, I'm totally on your side. You gotta go back.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Well, I think it's because, once again, she does such a great job bringing you in, connecting you to her, and also she's doing it for selfless reasons. I mean, she's doing it for a noble cause. The reason she's fighting her fears to go back, and I think we can all relate to that, even though, as we know, it's maybe not quite accurate. And at that time, her character.
But thank you. But also, the writing is such that you realize that this is going to follow her anywhere, and that she has to go back to resolve it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, were there any specifics from your life that you drew on to like influence your character? I mean, I know that it's a question that gets asked all the time, but it's like I'm always very interested to know like if there are little like this thing here was very specific from this point in my childhood or whatever. Or...
Yeah, it's a good question. I won't answer it entirely.
Okay.
But the ghost resolution scene that stands out in my mind as something that I'm using as substitute for her, and I have that reaction subsequently. So sounds very foolish, but when I first watched it, I was here at the house and I watched it with these guys, and when I saw that scene, this sounds so dumb, but I cried at myself, and not because that performance was amazing, but because I knew what I was thinking of.
No, that makes total sense.
So that little moment is the most raw and maybe the most important personal moment to me in the film. A lot of the other stuff, the movie was just hard to make, so a lot of those reactions are real genuine.
Okay.
She's a real trooper. She's She's a road trooper, and we went through some stuff because her character goes through it, and to a certain extent, you know, try to do it safely and everything else, but to a certain extent, a lot of what her character did, she had to do on camera so we could see it. So it was tough.
And I'm very proud and grateful.
Amazing job.
So, like, the house being a character, having shot in the house, and some of those shots are just so tell me how you want me to non-spoilery say the.
Well, that you gotta cut that. It's hard.
So there's a crawl space where a large reveal happens in the film, and it looked like it could only be as tight as it actually looked. Like, it didn't look like you could have done a whole lot of forced perspective with that. So, like, how much prep went into a lot of shots like that? Like, did you just go down there with the camera and set it up and see if it looked good, or how did you come up with that imagery?
Well, we went down and figured it out when we boarded it out. I mean, Lo and I kind of like looked at it with the lenses to figure out what could be shot and stuff. But then a lot of it is really just you had to do it when we shot.
Yeah.
I mean, there really wasn't a way.
Because it's also based on how Trista was going to play it.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like we felt like we had some guidance, but she also had the freedom to could do something. So it's like, you know, we just had to play with when we did it.
The key to a lot of those spaces.
I mean, sometimes what was planned the most is if the lighting had to be, especially in the crawl space, it had to work. So I had to be able to show that she could have a flashlight because we have a light in there, you know, that we play around to imitate a moving light, and we had to be able to do that. And Tyler was the one who would be in charge of that. So it was very hard because it'd be like a little this way and a little that way, no, close it, and then he had to wear a special shirt so it would reflect. And so in addition to Trista doing it in a tight space, it was very different, and it was really hot, and we would wear masks because it's dusty.
Between the takes.
So it would be always like, we're wearing masks, we're sweating, like pouring sweat all the time.
Very glamorous.
The camera has to be protected in some way because of the dust. Every time you move around and crawl, there's like this fine dust. So it's like, it is a big ordeal. And then the lights, and then it has to be, I mean, it's just, it's difficult.
Yeah, to get the shots and the angles and the lighting and the performance, to get all that the way we wanted it just took time.
Because it wasn't...
We knew when we hit an environment like that, when we had the schedule,
we
knew we were going to have to schedule more time.
Yeah.
Because you can't just move around. Even moving from 3 feet in those environments, it's like a big ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, everybody had to be safe, and it's not like we could remove some, ceilings or whatever. So we had to work with what was there, and we wanted to be safe at the same time. So.
And I take a fall in that scene, and it's a big space, and it feels like a big fall when you're doing your own stunts. But then Lo mentioned, although it feels traumatic, on camera it looked too much. It looked over dramatic. So I do this big fall a bunch of times, and then she's like, "No, it looks too big. You have to do it like way less." So I'm like covered in like bruises, and I'm like, "Okay, so I'll just like barely slide." After I throw myself down this thing a ton of times. Sure.
It's hard because there's so many things that have to work between the camera, that light, and the acting, and then the motion. It's just so many places for not working. It not working.
But you were right when I watched it. I was like, oh, that would have looked ridiculous if I did that big fall.
Yeah. But at the end, I mean, it looks believable. What you did. Yeah.
But I think as hard as it is, by using the real environments, besides inspiring the story and the script, by using the real environments, I think you get a very real, grounded sense, which I think helps with the supernatural element. Because when you're dealing with the supernatural, you want that to be your one supernatural thing, what the supernatural event's going on. But the rest of the movie has to feel very grounded to make the supernatural thing feel more believable. And I think, if you watch a horror film, it'd be easier, obviously, if you had a lot more money and you made sets and stuff, but we've all seen it. You're in the set. That's the basement set or the attic set. And, they built it, they know the stuff, but you can tell they built it too big to make it easier to shoot.
Right.
It's too big, it's too open. It doesn't really look like an attic. It doesn't really look like a basement or a crawl space. And yes, I'm sure everyone's life was easier to shoot that way. but on camera, it doesn't feel real. So I think it's important. Using a real location can really help.
There were a few times where, when we reveal the location, there's a few shots where you're actually from the inside, and you actually see the opening. So I had to be for those two reveal places. I had to be inside, all with the all enclosed. It's not just all alone, but it just was fully enclosed. I mean, like when they break through the first area, it's basically I'm technically stuck in there. And it was kind of in the dark. Anyway, it was kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'd be alone for that. I was like all alone.
Yeah, that was interesting. Because I think when we planned that out, we didn't really think about the fact that you would be kind of trapped.
Yes. So it's okay, guys. I'll see you soon.
But it worked. It works good.
Once the film releases onto the world, we're gonna have to get together and talk again, all spoiler filled, so we can stop beating around the bush.
It's a really challenging film, and we just, as we know, we just launched it last month in October at the 3 festivals, and it's been a real challenge. Like with the teaser festival trailer we did, we tried to create something that doesn't give anything away, but still give you a little bit of a hint of the feel, so you want to see it. But it's tricky, and I know eventually, we're going into the process of looking for the right distributor and all that, and it's going to be tricky, I think, when everyone's going to want to make that trailer, which really shows you all the awesome stuff in the movie, but if you watch that trailer, it's gonna really hurt your experience.
Yeah.
I don't even watch trailers. I don't watch trailers anymore. If I don't want to see a movie, I'll watch the trailer after I've seen the movie.
Okay.
But I'll be in the theater, closing my eyes and holding my ears. Because if the movie comes up I don't want to see, it's I don't want it ruined.
And I'm the exact same way.
I want the experience, and I miss it because trailers used to do that. I mean, they used to shoot a special thing for the trailer. It wasn't even in the movie, a little teaser thing that gave you the mood and feel and got you hooked, but didn't ruin the movie at all. And it just seems like that's a little bit of a lost art now.
No, I'm 100% on your side, man. I'll talk about this exact thing with people, and they go, "What do you mean you don't like trailers?" And I was like, because trailers used to whet your appetite. They used to make you want to go see the movie. Now they're cutting trailers not for people who they know want to go see the movie, because those people are going to show up anyway. Now they're cutting the trailers for the randos who might go see a movie. So they show them all, not just the best parts, the parts that you would only care about. So when you go and see the movie, you've already seen the movie.
I think the only thing they tend to preserve is the last 20 minutes. But if you're lucky. But yeah, the whole first act and a half, first 2 acts are kind of ruined, and it's a challenge eventually figuring out. I mean, this movie in particular is going to be a challenge to figure out how to market it. Right now, we're in this great space because we're just doing festivals. So if you're at a festival, people are going to go see the movie because they're going to the festival.
Right.
So it's great. So you get to have a cool poster and a little teaser trailer, and people get to see the movie with no expectations. When we played at Shriekfest, people had no idea, and and it was really great to talk to people afterwards because they didn't know it went where it went. And that's so satisfying. And I know it's satisfying to watch it. To not know where it's going to go is a lot of fun.
Most definitely. Yeah. Okay, so the stair ghost jump, that's definitely, like I said, that was one. I don't remember the specificity, maybe, creepy face in the shadow was hella effective. I wrote that down at one point.
Oh, good.
Oh, the box of nails was hellaciously creepy.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, that's one of Lo's. Lo has so many story elements that she put into the script. But I basically laid out the rough story and did a first rough pass, which is usually how we work. And then she gets involved in puts a big red line on everything she thinks is boring, which I love. Big red line, boring. But then she also she comes up with these great story ideas and elements. And it's kind of my job a lot of times to figure out how to work it in. I mean, most of the stuff's in the first act, so they didn't ruin anything, but she, the mouse, wasn't in the original script.
Okay.
And she was like, I want her to have a mouse. And I'm like, do you realize what we're adding into the script and how difficult this is going to be?
But it's cute.
But it's perfect, and it works great.
It does.
her character, and then it grew.
It's like your friend.
It became more and more scenes with the mouse as the movie progressed, as the script progressed, because it became this great character and really a great conduit for her.
Well, it shows she cares about, it adds to her character.
Yeah. So it serves like a lot of layers in the script, the mouse.
I mean, she could have had a dog, but no, she had a mouse.
I love it. It's the best.
So so a lot of additions like that from after she's read the first. So it works out good that way, because we'll put out the really rough draft of the story, and then she's able to see that with fresh eyes.
Nails.
Yeah, sure.
Cut. Box of nails is creepy.
Don't you wear nail polish?
Yeah, that's right. It's very gentle.
Cool. This was my longest note. This was exactly what I put down. So this flick is so damn creepy. I'm so much more involved in this than most any other supernatural house picture I've seen. It was very effective on me.
Oh, I love this note.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's exactly what we were trying to go for.
Yeah.
Is for it to really be truly a supernatural horror movie. Not some light supernatural thriller or supernatural drama. I mean, we definitely wanted it to be a supernatural horror film. The horror part was really, really important.
We all love horror. We're horror people.
It's the friend nobody understands. And I think so. I think the last note that I can give without going into full third act spoiler territory: Echoes of Fear, aka chicks destroying a fixer-upper. Going at it.
That's such a Brian joke.
Yeah, that is totally a joke. Yeah, that's a great thing. I mean, we didn't really talk about her, but Hannah Race, who plays her best friend, is obviously a really important character who grows in terms of how much he's in the movie and as the movie progresses, and that relationship along with the mouse, it just kind of adds this whole power trio, which really, I don't know, to me it's like the whole linchpin of the movie is kind of like the three of them against almost the world at the end, their world, at least in their contained universe. It's what it must feel like to them. So
yeah, the ending I think is indicative of that. The last scene of the movie is my favorite scene, and it's so small. I think it reflects.
The dating one, the little scene after it's over. Yeah. It was very important for us that after everything happened, there was a little scene that ended it before it went to the credits. So that was like a key scene for us.
Cool. Well, damn, this was I enjoyed the hell out of this, and I'm 100% serious. We should all get together again after the thing releases, because I know. Oh no, go ahead.
We just said yeah.
Okay. There's like the tiniest little delay. That's I'm trying. Yeah. Wow. Just wow. Thanks. I'm glad this got to happen. And wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean that's what excites us. I mean, we did the movie why it's so exciting in the festivals. It's for people, especially for horror fans. So I mean, we love having conversations with anyone who sees the movie and horror fans, because it's great to get their feedback and how they felt. And I think the most encouraging thing for us is it's been a really strong response, which is what you hope for, but until people see it, of course, you don't know.
Right.
So getting that feedback is really encouraging.
Cool.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Almost definitely.